Okay, guys. Of course, in the previous episode-ish, we discussed about the Gong's presidency, how Senator Trillanes dealt with the quote-unquote not so, nice times, and then bakit bumata-bata siya ngayon. So now we're discussing the, I don't know, endgame ba to or ano ba to? Harakiri, political harakiri, what phase we are in. Itong bardagulan na nangyayari sa ex-Uni team. We're trying to understand why is Duterte doing what he's doing. So one of the theories I put forward is literally yung Nixon madman theory, right? Again, assuming
Mhm.
logical siya, it's a big if. I'm just saying, if assuming logical siya, I would argue that baka ang ginagawa niya dito is he's threatening hell and he's threatening burning down the house because his concern is eventually baka yung ICC will come after him or the news will keep on tightening around him. Like, what's your read on that, Senator Trillanes? I mean, in the previous episode, we discussed the man, the moment, his algorithm. Having said
Mhm.
all of these things, anong basa mo ngayon? Is this a madman theory or Mad Max lang siya ngayon? Anong ginagawa niya?
I agree, with your theory. May scorched earth mindset yan si Duterte na hindi ito he will burn the house down just to pursue his own agenda. And ano ito? Uh, I agree na lahat yan pretext yung sinasabi niya si session and kung ano man against sa People's Initiative. Lahat yan pretext kasi ang ultimate niya agenda is gusto niya he wants to play this brinkmanship game with the Marcos administration. Na tipong I will burn the house down if you will have me arrested. So you'll have to talk. Ganun yan. Diba?
Exactly, right?
Si
Yun din ang
Duterte,
basa ko
yeah.
eh. Exactly, yun din ang sabi.
Oh,
Or if yung anak ko, lalo yung ganinin, or yung
oh.
budget ng Davao. I mean, you can see what's going on here, right? Again, I'm
So,
assuming he's logical about this in a certain way.
yeah, ano yan? Si Duterte, ano yan? Wais yan, ano?
Truth, truth.
Deliberate
Oh,
siya. Oh, shrewd. So may method dun sa
madness.
madness projection niya.
We have examples.
And oh. So pag na-profile mo siya ng maayos, mape-predict mo na yung mga steps niya. And ito nga yon, itong ginagawa niya. Gusto niyang i-blackmail o i-hostage itong admin into getting his way, which is maiwasan yung ICC arrest niya. So it's all about that at this point. Kasi early on, talagang he wanted, ako, ang tingin ko rito, yung earlier attempts niya to oust Marcos, this is primarily to protect yung criminal enterprise niya kasi nag-collapse na no? Michael Yang is twisting in the wind, nahinto na yung nila, drug trade, itong mga pulis na part ng sindikato nila na nalagay na sa freezer and dismissed na
So he
administratively.
needs an insurance.
Wala.
That's what you're arguing. He needs an insurance.
Yes.
It was all. But
Oo.
but
Oo.
again, Senator
Yeah.
Trillanes, he never trusted the insurance, right? He always lambasted the Marcos, especially BBM, weak leader. He was already making
Yeah.
insinuations. And naalala ko dun sa isa sa highlights ng speech niya, quote unquote speech niya was this is the moment I feared, 'di ba? Yung sinasabi niya, 'di ba? So parang sinasabi na-anticipate niya na mangyayari ito, which I think is a perfect segue to my question right now. Let's talk about BBM. Parang Star Wars muna tayo. I-freeze muna natin
Yeah.
itong denuma, itong
Mm.
bardagulan. Rewind tayo ng konti. Let's talk about BBM. What is your read of the situation of BBM? I mean, of course, you come from a family of military people. So,
Mm.
if you come from military background, medyo naintindihan mo yung Marcoses. Ako, because of my Ilocano background, I also understand the Marcoses. So, I think both of us were among the few people early on na not
Mm.
necessarily perhaps his fan, but we're always fair. Na parang, no, BBM is not gonna go Digong way. And in fact, if he's
Mm.
gonna follow his father, it's not gonna be in a dictatorial way. I want to get your
Mm.
your take on BBM. What is your understanding of BBM's rise to power? And then this steady, systematic, and now dramatic conflagration in his unit team with the Dutertes.
Well, pag nakita mo from the time that, let's say, sabihin mo na, during his heyday, nung nag-aaral siya sa Princeton, may $10,000 allowance siya every month. So, he was living a princely lifestyle, no? Tapos, imagine being hauled off to Hawaii. nakasakay kayo nakaupo kayo sa bench sa C-130 flight papuntang Hawaii. Ang hirap noon. It's a very uncomfortable trip. Na imagine mo yung what's going through their minds na tipo all of that nawala na tapos pagdating nyo sa Hawaii, kinonfiscate yung mga belongings nyo, doon kayo sa isang bungal. Kumbaga, talagang nilagay sa lupa, no? And it was a very long journey, no? It was a very humbling experience sa kanila na bumalik siya, nanalo siya sa Congress pero he was never treated seriously kasi wala na yung father niya. Nung 1995 he lost, 'di ba? Sa Senate, then kumaga napakahaba nung ano nito, nung
Rehabilitation, return to
oo,
yeah. But
na pero
yeah. Sorry,
yeah,
I want to ask you more.
yeah,
Nagsabayan yata kayo sa Senate, di ba? You were,
yes, oh,
so I want to ask you later on. But before that, no, you're making a very good point. Because actually, I'm now working on a book about the return of Marcos. For me, something happened there during the Hawaii years. I think there was some sort of soul searching. Kasi
yes,
yung tatay niya also passed away during this time na, the Hawaii years. So I think
mm,
kasi, di ba, siya yung huling naka-military suit na camouflage. Yung
mm,
EDSA days. And
yeah,
I think our good friend si Manuel Quezon III called him the last hawk. May training yan,
mm,
di ba, sa Army, Special
yeah,
Forces or
sa
something along
major,
those.
yeah,
Yeah, so he was kinda, medyo matapang din, medyo katulad mo siguro. But I think something happened during, so yes, he was princeling and you can say all of those
mm,
things. But at some point, he became, nag-overcompensate siya. He became this hawkish
yeah,
guy. So, ang basa ko is exactly like yours. The Hawaii years that climb from, I don't know,
mm,
czardom to humiliation. And
yeah,
then the passing of his father, I think it did something to him in terms of soul searching and the fact na hindi successful immediately yung return nila to national politics. So I'm
mm,
100% with you. I think we have very similar reading on him. So now eventually he makes it to the national politics as a senator and pretty smoothly. Can you tell us a little bit about your own direct encounters with him when you were colleagues in the Senate? And Pinoy was also there, right? Quite an interesting world, right?
no,
Ay, hindi mo
he
na.
was
Ay, the Pinoy
not,
pala was the
oh,
president pala. Sorry, by the time.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
he was
He
the
was, sorry
president.
about that.
And
Yeah, he was the president.
yeah, and I believe, ano, no, puntahan ko lang yung, nung panahon ni Pinoy, I believe they were expecting the worst kasi tinitignan niya na ano yun, alam mo yung uh, rivalry ng Marcos and Aquinos, di ba? Then nung presidente si Pinoy, he was expecting the worst. But to his surprise, hindi siya binenggahan, ano? Hindi siya binalikan ni Pinoy. And I think ano rin 'yon, nagkaroon din ng imprint sa kanya 'yon. And even before that, one thing na hindi nila nakita or na-overlook was during the time of GMA, yung Marcos family, bumoboto yan sa impeachment ni GMA. Every time. So, they were with the opposition. Magkakasama din kami sa opposition at the time, even nung panahon ni GMA. So, may ganun na, ito naman, bunga naman ito siguro nung rivalry nung Macapagal and the Marcoses, no? May ganon. Pero nung panahon nga ni Pinoy, magkasama kami, low-key lang yan si President Marcos. Sama kami sa nasyonalista. We've had a few events together. May cruise pa kami kasi si Senator Manny Villar, the party president, may mga cruise yung nationalista. So may mga ganong bonding. We had this uh, ano was this study visit sa Singapore. Kaming tatlo nila Senator Leo.
Right,
We
right.
studied the different
Lee Kuan Yew School.
uh, departments ng na Singapore. So may mga ganon na and ano siya, talagang nag-aaral siya, gusto niyang malaman tapos hindi nga siya yung basta low-key lang siya. So okay, no, ganon. Pero yun nga, hindi siya binalikan ni Aquino, ni President Noynoy Aquino, which he was expecting na mangyari. Kaya nga makita mo ngayon, yung in his time, sabi mo nga, yun nga, during the Hawaii years, nalagay sila sa lupa, it was humbling. Marami silang lessons learned. Nakita niya siguro din na, in a way, na-admit niya yung mga pagkakamali nung tatay niya, ganon. So ngayon, he wants to prove them wrong. No? Kaya ako in particular, I can speak for myself, we were with VP Lenny during the last elections. we were expecting the worst kasi nga Marcos Duterte, baka pagpatuloy yung Duterte policies, baka yung Marcos, ano, alam mo yung trademark na strongman rule, ma, mag lumabas. Pero I was pleasantly surprised, no? Na tipong huminto yung EJK for one, nire-restore yung democratic institutions, yung of the media, freedom of the press. Tapos yung foreign policy, nag nag-shift,
Doon tayo
bumalik sa
natuwa sa kanya, let's be honest. I think
oh,
that
so,
was the biggest
yeah.
pleasant surprise, I would say.
Yeah, so kumbaga, tapos ito ngayon hinuhuli na no, si Bantag, inano, tinanggal. Dati mga sacred cows ito, si Tebes is a distributor ng droga ni Duterte yan sa Western Visayas kaya naging ano yan eh, naging namayagpag yan ano. Pero inano, tinanggal nila. Kumbaga, nakikita mo, these are good signs. Then yung 18 senior PNP officers involved sa drugs, tinanggal. And ano ito, again, this is a big departure from the Duterte policies. Kaya ano, maganda. Then finally, ito na ngayon, yung paglabas ni Senator De Lima, di ba? Alabas eh. Then itong development sa ICC. So ano siya? We're
So
seeing
far, so far okay in a way. I mean, so far,
yeah.
say pretty okay, yeah.
Oh, but of course, hindi yan perfecto. Just like any other administration, if you want to nitpick, talaga meron ka mapapansin. But by and large,
Yeah.
the democratic space was restored and it's very important for us, di ba? Sige, magdebate tayo sa mga polisiya, okay yan, but the democratic space must be restored first and it was restored. And
Hmm.
yun yung nagustuhan natin doon.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. Although, of course, I would also add that yes, I mean, I agree that he's so far a constitutionalist. In fact, the joke is, I think BBM Dilao. You know, like there are jokes around those lines. I think your comment about Aquino not going after him, leaving a good impression, siguro reinforcing his soul searching. Kasi
Yeah,
just like Aquino's, he could be a besieged, paranoid, right, guy.
yeah,
But once he
yeah,
realized the world is not as crazy as it is, and in fact, you can have a modus vivendi, he realized
yeah,
actually you can live life in a more sober and steady way.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Obviously, I have concerns with the Chacha. We can discuss that a little bit later on when we discuss the opposition. I have concerns with the Maharlika Fund. I have concerns with the there was never an open apology for what happened during the dictatorship years, but the counter argument to that is he cannot do it openly kasi may legal exposure yan. That's one version I heard na he cannot ever openly say it because may exposing nanay niya, may exposing family niya. They have court cases in the US. But what you're saying is in his own way, this is his, I don't know, redemption. This is his way of, I don't know, trying to fix things, hindi lang in a cynical PR way. But let's talk about it because now that we're at this crucial juncture, the usual
Mhm.
criticism, and I'll be very transparent about it. I have transmitted it to our friends, in the government, is may pagka-conflict avoidance si BBM minsan na, I mean, maybe unfair to say that, but there are times na you want him to show a little bit of, because ang
Mhm.
kaharap mo dito are no jokers. We've spent the whole episode discussing the algorithm of Digong. And it looks
Mhm.
like those people are not going to go gently into the night. They're not just going to accept a secondary role in Philippine politics. Forget about total marginalization. Don't you think the BBM should show a little bit of hawkishness? Not dictatorial, not authoritarian, but he has to be a little bit pushing. Or maybe you're implying suabe niya ginagawa and it's just a matter of time before the hammer comes down. Like the Damocles sword is coming slowly down, but like Kill Bill. Is that, I think, what we're implying here?
I believe
That don't
so.
expect the hammer to come down like Thor.
Hindi mo maririnig yan sa kanya, but it's going to go down just the same. 'Di ba? How it's done behind the scenes or kung ano man yung circumstances, basta't hindi mo yun makikita. I believe in-embrace niya na tong ganitong brand of politics na friends to all, enemies to none approach niya. 'Di ba? Even sa Senate noon sa wala siyang
I
binibira.
disagree with you, Senator. I think it's love the Philippines. I think it's more yung ng theme niya, love the Philippines. Love, love, love. I think yun yung theme niya.
Ganun na lang. Basta good
Party,
vibes.
party.
Good vibes. Oh,
Good vibes lang, good vibes
okay.
lang.
Oh, good vibes. So, in-embrace niya na yun eh. But it doesn't mean na nothing is happening behind the scenes. Kasi remember si Digong, may pinanggagalingan yung panic niyan, yung paranoia niyan. Oh, may nararamdaman niyan, 'di ba? Okay. So, yun. And ito, gusto ko lang balikan yung punto na yun na yung lumabas si Baste, sina Sara Pulong, lahat-lahat, then siya eventually. So, it's either nag na ano sila doon, naging victim sila doon sa echo chamber effect na akala nila highly charged na lahat, or talagang meron na silang mga ine-expect na mga elemento that encourage them to do what they did, di ba? But unfortunately, so far hindi kumagat kasi alam namin na may mga pinagalaw silang mga retired Duterte generals na talagang who have been attempting to recruit or persuade the active members of the AFP to join the ranks. May mga na-identify nga na mga active PNP regional directors na sumama na sa kanila. Uh, pero just the same, wala yung hindi wala siya sa mainstream eh. Hindi na ano ng ordinaryong Pilipino, hindi naramdaman yung
Walang
sense of urgency
resonance.
nila.
Walang resonance.
Oo.
Yeah, walang
Wala
resonance.
eh. So, kahit init na siya, but by and large, people were just living their daily lives, no? Kaya, kaya kailangan pa ring bantayan. Titignan natin ano ito, what's next. But for sure, si Duterte will not stop until makaupo si Sara, or kung magkagulo-gulo man, he doesn't need to give it to Sara eh. Siya na uupo. Pag nagkagulo-gulo, siya na upo. Bakit pa niya bibigay kay Sarah? Kasi ibang grupo yan. Pag naupo sila Sarah, outside di ko lang puri naman yung mga tao nila eh. Kasi iba yung clique ni Sarah. So kumbaga, these things are in play. But then going back to sinasabi mo yung kung may hawkish nature ba si BBM na kailangan niya ilabas,
Good
I
Machiavelli, as
think,
the former professor.
oh,
Good Machiavelli. Can he be a good Machiavelli?
I think ang pinakang ano diyan, yung true yung true sentiment, makita mo sa demeanor ni First Lady Marcos. Nung ini-snub si Sara,
Dun sa
yun na yun.
departures to Vietnam, yeah.
Oo, yun
Departures
na
to
yun.
Vietnam.
Si si BBM can do the social niceties, but
Schmoozing, schmoozing.
yeah. But alam mo yung sentimento, what type of conversation that's happening in their household,
Yeah,
'di
in the
ba? And it's
first
not
first family's household.
flattering. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I want to, of course, discuss also where the opposition should stand on this issue,
Yeah.
'di ba? Kasi ang laki ng debate ngayon. May mga opposition na never Marcos. So,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, they're still skeptical about BBM. They feel na this is a, I don't know, wolf in a sheep's clothing, na this PI,
Mhm.
People's Initiative thing is part of a regime change strategy. Na at the end of the day, BBM might turn out as the bigger threat, even though so far. And then there's the Never Duterte group, who are saying, no, 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 no. At the end of the day, BBM is a constitutionalist, at least so far. He respects